Hello everyone, it's Joe here from Draft FPL and welcome to a brand new series, Who to Drop. I've had a few requests for this kind of video. Obviously every week I go through the waiver picks, who you should pick up each week. But I've had a few people ask, who are players that I might be holding on to for a little bit too long. So I've just gone through some highly owned players this week that I think it's time to let go if you own any of them. I'll be back with the standard waiver video tomorrow, so make sure you stick around to check that out. Let's get stuck straight into who we think has just overstayed their welcome a little bit too long for Draft FPL. Okay, the first man on the list, I was astounded actually when I went on the draftfc.co.uk and looked at the highly owned midfielders. Rodri, owned in 70% of leagues, is just a travesty in my opinion. Don't have Rodri. Get rid of him. Maybe if they had a great double game week, I can understand it for 1 week. But to be honest, he just doesn't attack. You only buy him because he plays for City. It's just not worth it. Rostered in 70% of leagues is mad. The fixtures are bad, to be honest. There's a real period coming up that's going to be really important in terms of blanks, doubles, and City at the moment just do not have it. The game week 27 and game week 30 are okay, Palace away, Saints away, but they blank in game week 28. So carrying a player like Rodri through a blank game week is just not something you want to be doing. Game week 29 is a big double game week, and City don't have a double. So I would strongly advise only keeping the real top assets from City. Obviously, Rodri is not one of them. They have Liverpool at home that week, which is a bad fixture. Anyway, so drop him instantly if you have him. Next up, someone in a similar vein, but definitely not as bad as Rodri for sure. Bernardo Silva, obviously a great player, has done well in spells for City, but the place in the team he has at the moment, which is kind of that hybrid left-back, centre-mid role, is just not conducive to attacking returns at all. He does actually have 2 goals, I think, in his last 3 or 4 games, which might make you think that he is attacking quite a lot and should be kept, but in reality the stats are not there at all. It's 2 pretty out of the ordinary goals that he scored, and I think those returns aren't going to continue for Bernardo Silva. So it is someone that I'd be looking to drop, even though he's owned in 97% of leagues. So he's owned in almost every league, and I think it's a good time to get rid of him, to be honest. There's loads of options coming up over the next few weeks with double game weeks, great runs of fixtures, and I just don't think Bernardo Silva is that guy. As I said, the blank in 28 and the non-double in 29, and it's a tough fixture at home to Liverpool. Those 2 game weeks are going to be key, and I just think, the City boys, other than Haaland, KDB, Mahrez, Grealish, Foden, outside of those, I'm not really looking to keep hold of any of them, I don't think. Maybe, obviously, Edison as well, and maybe a defender or 2, but the rest is sort of the supporting cast. I think it's time to drop. Next up, someone I have had great success with this season, Andreas Pereira, rostered in 70% of leagues still, and it's just time to get rid. Fulham's fixtures are absolutely horrendous, and to be honest, I don't think I'd carry anyone through this period apart from Mitrovic and maybe Solomon, just because of his form at the moment. But game week 27's Arsenal at home, really tough fixture. Then they blank in 28, then they don't have a double in 29. And then, from 30 onwards, I think that's when you start looking to pick them back up again. But for these next 3 game weeks, you're going to be benching them, so there's literally no point in owning them. You'll definitely be benching for Arsenal at home, you'll definitely be benching in the blank, and you'll be benching in 29, even though it's Bournemouth away, because so many teams have double game weeks that you're just not going to be playing the Fulham lads with a single fixture. So Andreas Pereira, Willian, I'm not too, even though Solomon's form is unbelievable, I think I'd drop him as well. I'd probably only keep Mitrovic, and that's mainly just because of the lack of forward options available at the moment. And next we have another player that is just probably my favourite player in the Premier League at the moment, Granit Xhaka. Absolutely love him. Rostered in 92% of leagues, but it's just not the right time for him, I don't think. The attacking returns have died down. The stats aren't really there. He's still progressing the ball a lot, and he's still playing well. He got rested against Bournemouth at the weekend with, he's played a lot of minutes this season, started every game until that one. But I do think there is room in the squad for him to be rotated now, and now that the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe and Fabio Vieira are fit again, I just think his minutes are going to be managed a little bit more. That combined with the fact that Arsenal don't have any more doubles for the rest of the season, there's going to be a lot of game weeks where you're going to be benching him, and even when you do play him, I'm not expecting big returns from Granit Xhaka. I think there's better options out there. The only caveat I would say to this is if you look at your squad for game week 28 and realise you're not going to have very many players out, and there's not that many good options on the waivers that play in game week 28, I could understand keeping him just for that game week 28 fixture against Palace, where he's almost certainly going to start, that's a decent idea. If you're looking at your team thinking, Christ, I'm going to get 4 players out in game week 28, then I can understand keeping him. But other than that, I think it's time to let go. Next up, we have Ruben Neves, rostered in 64% of leagues. There's nothing to him really in open play at the moment. The set pieces are there, but the fixtures aren't great for Wolves. They have no doubles. It's a similar story to Xhaka. They do play in 28, so I could understand if you need him for that blank game week, but I'm really not keen on Ruben Neves. I never really have been as a fantasy asset, to be honest. His returns are really hard to predict because it's all set piece based, really, other than the occasional open play, burst into the box, but that doesn't happen often enough to be relied upon, really. So, Leeds at home in 28 is a good fixture, so if you do think I need someone for game week 28, then maybe keep him, but other than that, I think there's so many better options available on the waivers. On to a few forwards then, and the first one breaks my heart, but Eddie Nketiah, I think it is time to let go. He's been an absolute great pickup for the last couple of months. Those of you that managed to get on him after the World Cup, I'm sure I've seen a lot of success with him, but it is time to let go, I think. The only thing is, Trossard did pick up a groin injury against Bournemouth, but it looks like it's not too serious. He might miss the Sporting game, but other than that, he should be back pretty soon. Nketiah also has an ankle knock as well. Gabriel Jesus is knocking at the door, back in full training, should be back within the next couple of weeks, and Nketiah really just doesn't hold any value anymore. I would say, maybe hold for 28 if you need someone, but I don't think it's likely that he starts in 28 because either Trossard or Jesus will be fit by then, and I think Nketiah is probably third choice behind those two. Next, we have Firmino, rostered in 91% of leagues. Obviously, did the business against United, but I don't think he's in Liverpool's first choice 11. And they're probably, almost certainly soon to be going out the Champions League. They're out the Cups. It will be Premier League only from then on. And I don't think he's going to play that many minutes. They also blank in game week 28. They do have a double in 29, but it's City away, Chelsea away, which is a pretty rough double game week. Then it's Chelsea at home in 30, which is not great either. And it's mainly the minutes. They've got Salah, Darwin, Gakpo, Jota, Firmino, the 5 players for 3 spots. Luis Diaz is going to be added into that mix within the next couple of game weeks. So I really do think that Firmino's minutes are going to be very low. And as much as I quite enjoy Bobby Firmino, it's time to let him go, I think. If the fixes were amazing, then loads of doubles, I could understand it because you might be getting, 45 minutes here, 30 minutes there, 60 minutes here, and that could average out to a decent amount of minutes. But with the fixtures they've got, and they've got the blank, it's just not worth it. Next up is Alvarez. Very similar story to Firmino. They don't play in 28. They don't double in 29. It's just not the right time to have Alvarez. I don't think Haaland's going to be playing the majority of the minutes. Alvarez isn't going to get much of a sniff. Rostered in 88% of leagues. Maybe if you've got a really deep squad, you can just hold him and bench him. But I don't really see the point, to be honest. I think there's almost certainly going to be better options out there on the waivers. And finally, we have Richarlison, rostered in 81% of leagues. The fixtures are okay, but Spurs are in a similar position to Arsenal where they won't have another double game week for the entire season now, and it's really, he's not first choice. He's got 0 goals on the season, Richarlison, not scored a goal in the league for Tottenham yet, and it's just an absolute waste of a spot on your team. these things could always come back to bite me. You know, he could score a hat-trick against Forest, but so far, 26 game weeks, he has 0 goals on the season. They have no doubles. He's not guaranteed starts. Like, it's just an absolute bin. And those are my picks for who I would be looking to drop if I own them in game week 27. I honestly could have done about 50 players here. There's so many players that are reasonably highly owned that I think are a drop. I'm going to try and push these videos out once every few weeks. I probably won't get around to doing it every week. But the waivers will be coming out. The waiver video, will be coming out tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you for watching. Like if you enjoyed. Drop a comment if you want to see more of these videos. There's a link to the Patreon down below if you're interested. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.